Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hello there,
Hello,
Salty
Joe. Can you
Lizard.
hear me?
I can.
Hey,
Happy
how are you?
Friday.
It's
Outstanding.
Friday the 13th, right?
Yes. So I've been locked in my room all day, so nothing bad happens. Ha, just
Right.
kidding.
Me too. No, I have. I'm not even gonna lie. Well, I did go outside several times today, but that's about it. From the room to the back door, back in, back to the room.
Right. No up and down any stairs. No getting on the interstate today.
I have to go down 3 stairs to get to the back to off the porch, and then I'm good to go. No
You
driving
know,
going.
my son actually broke his knee doing that on a Friday the 13th when we lived in San Diego.
Oh
We had
shit.
this, yeah, we had to step down from the regular house to the garage level, so it was actually probably like two steps.
Yeah.
And on Friday the 13th, he fell down them and broke his knee.
Oh wow.
And on another Friday the 13th, maybe the next year, when he was like a freshman in high school and he was at football practice, he fell and broke his arm on a Friday the 13th. So,
Holy shit. Like, he's
yeah,
not did he leave his
no,
house today, or did he, like, stay
nope,
put?
nope. He called in sick. He called in sick to work. He's like, I'm going to phone this in today.
And it's also a full moon. I don't know if it's actually 100% tonight, but it looks pretty close to it. It's a full moon. At least I can see it where I'm at. Hey, all eyes, welcome in. Can you
Oh,
guys
it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while. Can you guys see the moon? Like, it was pretty. We had a beautiful evening here in my part of Florida, and, finally, 'cause I didn't see the sunshine in 3 damn days, and I was so annoyed, and, today it's beautiful blue skies, and the sunset was beautiful, and then the moon's out now, and I was like, "Yes, my kinda my kinda stuff."
No, you must. Oh, there's the moon. There it is. It's all the way over in the eastern sky. Oh my gosh, that is
Yeah,
almost full.
yeah,
Big and bright.
yep.
Love it.
Gotta cleanse those crystals, people. Cleanse them crystals, especially the ones that fight off that negative energy. Oh, goodness. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna give it a few minutes for people to get in here. Danger, how are you tonight? Thanks for listening in. I know you're at work, so we appreciate you being here. But so, man, those drones are getting serious, aren't they?
There we go. I'm. It's been a while since I've been in Streamyard on my phone, and it just acts so wacky. Streamyard.
It's
Oh,
different on the phone. Mm.
it is, and I wish it weren't so complicated. Like, or maybe that there was an alternative option besides Streamyard, because Streamyard is the most popular. I mean, almost everybody uses Streamyard,
Yeah,
but
some use
there's
the
got.
what is it, OSB or OBS. I've checked into the other ones, and I don't know much about them. And most people do use StreamYard, so I just kind of roll with StreamYard. But when I'm on my phone, it doesn't let me comment, right? I just can't start typing back to everybody. That's why I always talk and say and answer their questions live, because it doesn't let me get in there and type like I can on my PC.
Yeah.
Unless there's something I'm not seeing that because I've tried to do it before and it's thrown me out of StreamYard. So I just stopped doing it. I'm like, hey, thanks. I see you. I'm not being rude because I'm not chatting back in the chat. I just can't from my phone. So
All right. Well, it didn't kick me out when I hit connect, so I can hopefully I can chat here. We're gonna find out in a second. Boom. Comment
boy,
dropped.
my ah, there we go. My left clicker doesn't want to work right lately. Um, yeah. So you're not seeing any drones out there, Joe, sitting outside?
I don't. I think I see Venus. I see Venus in the sky,
Mhm.
and I see some planes flying overhead, and I see the moon, but I don't see any drones.
You sure they're airplanes?
No, I'm not.
There was a lot of crazy stuff on Twitter today about the drones, and uh, well, I think a little while ago, like some of the governor or some of the higher ups there in New Jersey were out there taking their own videos of the drones that the government's saying nothing to see here thing, but who knows? It's really strange. I know that.
Well, the government's response to it is what puzzles me most, because
Yeah.
first of all, how can you claim that they're operating on frequencies that you can't detect if you can't detect the frequencies?
Well, then they're admitting that that's aliens because they got shit
Right.
we
Yeah.
can't detect.
Right. Yes.
I mean, it's better, come out and say something. I mean, you're just making us all you stop thinking America is so stupid that, oh, we don't can't figure it out. They're regular drones. People are just all of a sudden flying their drones everywhere. Well, they're not showing up on radar and stuff like that. They're not, some of them aren't even registered and all the things you're supposed to have done to them. So how do they know? And there's one that's allegedly crashed, and the
Hmm.
lady says she saw it, she heard it, all the things, that it crashed. They're saying there's nothing out there. They didn't find anything. No evidence of a crash. I'm like, how does
So
what?
did she turn it into the police? I'm not doing that. If that drone comes down in my backyard, I'm like
Well,
going to the
several people, yeah, well,
going
several
to the
people reported
Inquirer.
it, right? Well, several people reported a drone crash, and this lady they spoke to on the news, they didn't show her face. She said, "Yes, we heard it. We saw it." And but they're out there, and you can see all the FBI was out there and everything, according to the news earlier today. And anyway, they didn't find any evidence of a wreckage. Explain that if it's not aliens.
Ah,
It's
that's crazy.
shape shifting stuff going on. It is crazy. Because if it, you want, okay, so we should be freaked out that our government's got something going on and can't figure it out. We should be really mad about that.
So either it's just like the Delphi investigation, and then my son's dogs are being stupid now too. They're just ridiculous. But it's like the Delphi investigation. Either they're complicit in the conspiracy to pull the wool over these eyes, or they're incompetent. One or the other. It's got to be one or the other.
Oh, well, like Danger says, either they're not telling us something or they're puzzled.
Yep.
Even if they're probably puzzled. Where are these things? Where are they coming from, and who sent them here? You know. But how long are they gonna? Honestly, legit though, how long are they gonna keep denying that aliens exist? They've got so much evidence out there contrary to that. That we've seen. And I believe there are. I don't know if they're like little green men Martian, but there's something going on out there. And there has been, I watch Ancient Aliens. I'm down with it.
Well, President Trump went on record as saying that he was told that alien technology exists, that UFOs have been spotted by our military. So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, no,
Yep.
no other president has gone on the record to say that. So I thought that was pretty significant that he was willing to go on the record as saying that.
Trisha sliding in with some knowledge there. Look up Blue STEM Project. That's
Ooh,
interesting. Let's do that. Let's do that. Like, Joe, do you believe there's aliens out there?
I'm so conflicted about it. I am so conflicted because we live in the day and age where you would think that we would have had some type of a provable interaction with them at some point if they did exist. But there are also literally billions or trillions of other worlds out there. I mean,
Yeah.
and our telescopes and our rocket ships and everything that we have hasn't even touched a fraction of the universe, let alone the galaxy. I mean, we have our galaxy, and then there are galaxies beyond our galaxy. And it just, I'm a huge science fiction fan. Like, Star Trek is my thing. Um, Captain Kirk and Dr. Spock were like my idols when I was growing up, which is really nerdy to say and
No, my
admit.
daughter, she loved them. Like, she every single night, that's what she watched before she went to bed.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Star Trek The Next Generation was an amazing show too. Um, I didn't get up on all the I didn't like all of the other Star Trek Next Generation spinoffs like Babylon and all the others, but still science fiction ish one would tend to believe that there are aliens out there, but I just can't believe that we don't have any provable evidence of it at this point. Why don't we? Are they
Oh, we
hiding it?
do.
Are they covering it
Yeah,
up?
I was about to say we have it. I mean, Area 51. So they've got
Yeah.
something. They're just not gonna tell us what it is, you know? But what if
Oh my word. These dogs are
learn something and
crazy.
you know how it gets when I'm outside, these dogs around me get to go into the little dog next door and our dog. My dog rarely barks. That little guy next door, he'll raise Cain. He was out there a few minutes ago just running all over the place, barking at air. He's a tiny little thing. So I have to mute out when I'm outside sometimes because either there's a loud dog or a loud truck passing. I don't know, maybe they'll figure it out if one crashes and, you know, they actually wasn't it a while back, like several months back, there was something allegedly crashed in a man's backyard, and he said he saw the person, the creature. It was tall, elongated, and it was I have to go back and look for that story. It was crazy. I don't know.
Wasn't that a movie with Mel Gibson?
No, no, it was real. Jeez. Hey, what about the movie with what's his name? The guy that got abducted by the Travis, what was his name? Oh my God, they made it into a movie. Danger, do you know who I'm talking about? His name was Travis. Let me see.
I don't know that one.
Travis Walton. Yeah, it says on November 5th, 1975, a logging crew are driving home after work when they suddenly encounter a UFO. Travis Walton gets out of the truck to investigate and is hit by lighting by something lighting from the ship. He disappears into the forest back to Earth. But wait, yeah, that's what it was. The gist of it. They saw an alien ship. So he gets out of the truck and he walks towards it. And when he does, it shoots down a laser beam, you know what I mean? And it like beamed me up Scotty, literally, and that beamed him up and took him away. And then they did like conducted tests and stuff. Fire in the Sky, that was the movie. You guys heard of that movie? Yeah, Danger, Travis Walton. The movie was called Fire in the Sky, and it's actually a very good movie. I saw it years ago. Didn't know what to think of it back then, but it was compelling. And
Hmm.
now that these days, I'm like, I remember that movie with that dude that got sucked up by the aliens.
Interesting. No, I don't think I've seen that movie. Now I'm going to have to watch it.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. It's old though. It's been out for a long time.
And there are lots of so I also enjoy watching paranormal shows
Yeah.
that lend themselves to doing credible research methods like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures used to. I'm not such a big fan of Ghost Adventures anymore, just because I think he kind of went off the deep end a couple of years ago with some of his investigative techniques and things that he did. But there is a huge crossover between paranormal and alien stories.
Oh yeah.
And
Mhm.
a lot of people think that some of the alien stories may be paranormal. And a lot of people think that some of the paranormal stories may be alien. But there's a ranch, like maybe in the Dakotas, I think, that has just had a ton of weird things happening there.
Skinwalker
And
Ranch.
yes,
I
that's the
know it
one.
well. I know. I love that show. Ancient Aliens and Skinwalker Ranch are two of the best shows I've ever seen. I can literally sit and watch them for hours. I think I probably saw so many of the Ancient Aliens I got kind of burnt out on watching them. But Skinwalker Ranch, man, there's some crazy stuff that goes down on that place. I mean, like
Yes,
literally. And when they launched, they one night they launched these drones because there's a particular area that things are always happening in this one spot they've honed in on. And so they had a test done and they released a bunch of drones, right? And they did a formation and all the things. But as the drones went up, they would just randomly start losing their power and fall back to the earth. Like they were being interrupted. um, it's and that's where like the cows will just fall over in that spot and they see
yes,
things
right.
out there, all kind of stuff. So
Oh,
Oh no, I don't know if that'll fly. That's that.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
That's
the aliens
that's
may be interested in our military because they're the ones that taught us how to do all that. So they're like, "Y'all doing it right down there? Get it together. Get it together. That's not quite right." I don't know. Let the man go on and be president. It is what it is. Apparently, people
yeah,
voted.
right. We've had theories about aliens interfering in our elections and everything for a long time, but I think we interfere enough in our own. I mean, we're
I
crazy enough,
I don't think the aliens are what we should be afraid of.
right?
I'm not afraid of them. I think they're thinking, "What the hell are y'all doing? We gave you knowledge, right? We taught you things, and look at what you're doing to each other." Amen. Okay. Um,
Stargate is a very interesting sci-fi series. That's
yeah, I didn't
very
watch
interesting.
that one too often. I mean, I think I've seen a couple of episodes, but it's not like
I'm not a huge fan of the series that was made from the movie, but the actual movie itself was very interesting because it delves into the theory that there's a wormhole that can transport us, and that's
mm,
how some of our technology, like the pyramids, like the ancient
yeah.
pyramids, how they got to us was from aliens.
If you watch Ancient Aliens, the way you will, all that, and you're like, I made my cousin watch it one night, and she's like real freaky, don't want to hear nothing crazy, and I was like, no, you got to watch this show with me tonight, and so she did, and like 4, 5, 6, got to go to bed. I can't. I was like, it's right, and she's like, right, like she was. It made too much sense, you know what I mean? And she didn't like it because it would have
Yes,
been like we came from the aliens or they did all these things, and yeah. It's a very
cognitive dis-
intriguing show to watch. I
cognitive
love Ancient
dissonance.
Aliens and Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, cognitive
I need to
dissonance is a
binge
real
watch
thing. Like,
Skinwalker Ranch again because I know I've missed I think I missed a whole season, true crime and all. You know. Oh, you cut out.
hello, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Hey,
Hey, can you hear me now?
I can. That remember last night we were talking after your stream how something funky had happened? Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Now it's coming over my phone. Hold on. I don't understand what's happening. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I was on the PC and then it just went down and then it wouldn't even let me get back into StreamYard at all for a second there. So I went onto my phone and looked and saw the live was still up. I was like, well, dang. Yeah, all eyes last night we had a glitch in Joe's, so I'm glad it
Hmm.
kept me. I'm glad I could come back up, right? Could have been the aliens or that Friday the 13th full moon thing going on. They didn't like me talking about them, but I was being nice about them.
Right? You're like, look at all the stuff we learned from them.
Right? I was giving them prompts, man. Credit where credit's due.
But StreamYard to me is like Ticketmaster. So if you want to go to a sporting event anywhere in the United States of America, you almost have to buy your tickets from Ticketmaster unless you go down to like the box office of the actual team. Like if you want to go in physically in person buy a ticket, you can. Otherwise, you have to go through Ticketmaster. And Ticketmaster has issues, like StreamYard has issues.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you want to broadcast on social media, you almost have to use StreamYard because it's the most common way to do it. So if
Yeah.
anybody out there has other ways to stream on social media, I am all ears because StreamYard has issues that I am not a fan of.
All Eyes has been testing alternatives. I think publicly, is it Buzzed or it might be
Yes, I
somewhere
think, yes.
they use
No, I think,
OSB or
yes.
OBS, whatever it's called. Um,
But I
and
think he's had issues with his new thing too.
don't have any. I've only think I've been dropped out of StreamYard twice and was able to get right back in. And those few other times that I was going down there for a while was all because of something to do with the Wi-Fi. But I think all that's straightened out now. So hopefully we'll be good to go for the rest of the night. We will see. Oh, that's not what I wanted to pull up. Yeah, it is. All right. So um, we were going to talk about the Brian Koberger case tonight, the Idaho 4 quadruple homicide case. So we knew that the defense had filed a slew of motions to suppress. And we knew a few days ago that the state had actually filed their responses to those, but they weren't uploaded to the docket yet. You could see them on the case summary page, but you couldn't see them in the docket yet. I guess it took the judge a couple of days to review everything before they put it up. Now, of course, a lot of it is sealed. That's just the way it is with this case, and I think it will remain. It's going to remain that way. There's no other way around it. Only time we get to hear anything really is during court hearings, because the defense has always been really good about saying things in the hearings, and kind of leading you to what the state does have, and but kind of not. So it's kind of you have to review all the hearings. But anytime we get any real information other than what comes out in these sealed documents, usually it's through the defense when they're in the courtroom. And so, anyway, they had filed motions to suppress just about everything. As far as the search warrants for his apartment in Washington, the parents' house over in Pennsylvania, his personal body, the car, the digital information as well from the Apple warrants. I think there was a Google search warrant in there they wanted to suppress. Got to thinking about all that. And, if you want all that, the cell phone stuff all suppressed, isn't that what you said in the alibi statement that was going to help prove your client didn't do this? So why do you want those things suppressed if they're going to help you? Because that's what literally the alibi said they were going to do. And we're going to review that alibi here in just a little bit. So let me get to it. All right. I'm going to share this screen. We're not going to read through all of them because it's really just, it looks like, and I talked to a few people about it, and an attorney has her opinion about it, and this lady is all for defending Brian Koberger. She's a defense attorney, but she's not happy with what's going on right now from the defense side. They just don't seem to be bringing it like they said they were going to bring it. The fact that the Franks motion, look how crazy that thing got. It was like so many pages and so many pages, and the judge comes back and says, you need to pare this down and show me what you mean, because you just gave me a bunch of stuff to read. and expect me to find what you're talking about. You just bring me what you're talking about. So even with some of the states, sorry, the defense suppress motions, they didn't attach certain things they should have attached to, make their case better, and they just didn't do it. And it's like, why not? It's not that hard. And there's some things going on in the public defender's offices that are. I don't even know if Jay Logston's still around. You know what I mean? I just don't. I don't know how that's going to play out. He seems to be really overworked right now. He was, all those things, and because they moved from to the state public defender's office, so they're having some issues apparently. And there's not that many death penalty attorneys in Idaho, so I don't really know what's going on with the defense. If there's there's not enough sharing their information or what they're doing, and I understand that when you're the defense attorney, sometimes all you the time, you're not going to get that done unless you can show real good cause. And so a lot of this stuff is stuff you probably would expect her to suppress, but it's like, why suppress the cell phone data if that's what you plan to use to help prove your client's innocence? So just something to think about. But it looks like okay, so the state filed. Let me get the screen up so you guys can see it. Let me pull this up a little bit. Where's my, oh, there it is. Like, where'd my button go? Okay. So this is the Idaho cases of interest page where everything is kept nice and neat for us. So they had filed, the judge filed his motion or his orders on the Franks motion for them to, resubmit it, and they did. So finally, these are what came down. The state's objection to the defendant's motion to suppress the warrant for the apartment, motion to suppress the Apple warrant, the cell phone, the Elantra, the first warrant, search of Mr. Kohberger's persons, the trace. It's going to be the pen one. No, that's a different one. Let's see. I didn't even read that one earlier. The state's objection to the defendant's motion to suppress the warrant for Mr. Kohberger. And then they come down with all the motions to seal everything. And then that last notice of hearing is for for January, when they're going to be having the hearing on the motions to suppress. So they, filed their objections to all of that. But what I wanted to look at really, so if you look at this one, if I can make it bigger. I mean, do you think this is just like standard stuff, Joe, or would you think there might be damning evidence that she doesn't want seen? How would you?
Oh no, it's standard stuff. After looking through the 136 documents that were in Lori Vallow's docket, I'm like, the one side or the other files a motion, and the other side files a response to it. In Arizona, it's called a response. Apparently, in Idaho, it's called an objection. And then the other side files a response to the objection or a response to the response. And it's just standard stuff. I mean, they're just.
Oh, I know, but yeah, I mean, I totally get that, and they're very good about doing that here in Idaho with each other, especially every time they're going to file. But it's the way Ann Taylor has always had and Jay have always had a very. I can't get this to get bigger.
Yeah, no, you definitely have to weed your way through it.
Yeah.
To glean the important factors, like what we were trying to go through last night before we got interrupted was Lori Vallow's response to the state's response to the motion to compel. I mean, there's something in there. There's something in there that will be important when it comes to trial. So there's no doubt stuff that's important in this that will be important when it comes to trial. And some of it will be and some of it won't be. And we don't know till we get there, I reckon.
I guess because I've read through every time a document's dropped in Idaho. There's so damn many. I mean, this list goes on. I've read all these. Some of them more times than I probably should have. And like, oh, all those damn banks up there. There's a lot to go through in this case, and there's Idaho 4 is a very different case. I'll just say that, especially with this attorney. She likes to say things in motions and put it out. Just there's like a bunch of back and forth grappling with each other, and it's just different with this case. And I don't know, like, just some of the things that she asked to have suppressed, I think are routine stuff. And of course, the state's going to give their response to that. And then the judge will have his decisions when they have the hearings. But there was a couple of these I did want to, I'm trying to get the screen back up. I had to fix it. It messed up on me. And I've got the search warrant returns for these places too. We're going to look at those. I don't know if you've ever seen the search warrant returns or went through them. I've some of this stuff's been so long ago that I've read it, and then I go back and I read it again. I'm like, oh man, I forgot about that, or I didn't know, I missed that like a long time ago or whatever. We're going to look at this one real quick. If I can get it to blow up where I can actually see it. I have to make this smaller over here so I can do that.
Yeah, okay. If we're really invested in the case, like we were in Delphi, like we were with Lori Vallow in Idaho, and maybe we'll be in Arizona, maybe we won't be. You some of these documents take us down a rabbit hole, and we want to like dive into them and figure out what exactly does this mean. And in the end, some of them may mean absolutely nothing, but some of them may mean everything.
Oh yeah. They say they've made some pretty bold accusations from the defense side in this case that to me have never been followed up on. They'll come out hot and they'll say something and you're like, whoa, okay, let's pause a minute, and you're waiting for the next thing, and then nothing happens. It's like that was just, I don't know, word salad, you know what I mean? Almost. It's crazy. And every time there's a filing in this case, it causes a lot of ruckus sometimes. This one is from the state's objection to defendant's motion to suppress cell phone USB file and memorandum in the support. And the Moscow Police Forensics Lab warrant dated January 9th, 2023. Comes now the state of Idaho by and through Latah County prosecuting attorney and respectfully responds to defendant's motion to suppress cell phone USB file and the memorandum in support. So let's, regarding the defendant's represented facts, the state respectfully refers the court to the defendant's Exhibit A filed in support of an instant motion to oppose to relying on the defendant's subjective summary and interpretation that begins on page 2 of this brief. And the arguments are, defendant has not demonstrated the search warrant affidavit contained intentionally or recklessly false statements or omissions. And that's what the big claim is for Ann Taylor. Certain evidence from the judge to get the probable cause order signed. She's basically wanting everything they put in the PCA that they used for that gone, even though they claim they didn't use IGG for the PCA. The defendant next addresses its Franks argument. The state incorporates its argument and pleadings on the Franks issue at this point, as opposed to restating the same. And they kind of like felt like she threw out so many motions, they weren't going to go and do each one separately. They're kind of like putting them all together, a few of them. So the IGG, the defendant raises its objection to the IGG. And again, the state incorporates the state's arguments in response to the defendant's separate IGG motion. So they're arguing back about their motions that are sealed. The search warrant incorporated the affidavit search warrant and Exhibit A by reference. The defendant next asserts the search warrant fails to command law enforcement to search the USB drive. The state incorporates the state's objection to defendant's motion to suppress. Apple account federal grand jury subpoena and search warrant dated August 1. So when they went before the grand jury, they had subpoenas and used this evidence in the grand jury. the court's convenient for the court's convenience, the state incorporates its analysis in the objection. You know what I was just realizing though? All that standard language right there. The search warrant fails to command law enforcement to search the USB drive. What USB drive? It came out of one of either his apartment or I think his parents' house, because they didn't find stuff like that in his apartment, right, Danger? We're gonna have to look at the warrant returns. So, am I reading that right? Does it sound like they have a USB drive that they searched and she wants that thrown out along with the cell phone? The cell phone USB file warrant. For the court's convenience, the state incorporates its analysis in the objection. Yeah, it's all the same. The motion to suppress the memorandum in support. AT&T first warrant. We had two AT&T warrants on Bryan Kohberger. So they did put in a motion to suppress the first one and I believe the second one as well. AT&T first warrant regarding the applicable case law to apply for Fourth Amendment analysis as opposed to restating the same, as applied to the Seagate 2 terabytes external USB drive search warrant. As applied to the Seagate 2 terabyte external USB drive. Remember all those terabytes she complained she got that like there was just so much, it would take her a year to go through it? I wonder if this is like that. Idaho allows a search warrant affidavit to support the particularity requirement when the warrant references the affidavit of probable cause. There are no magic words. They just said magic. That reminded me of Doug Carter all of a sudden. There are no magic words for reference. As stated above, the warrant specifically referenced the search warrant affidavit. The words proof upon oath this day showing probable cause. When the Seagate 2 terabyte external USB drive search warrant is considered, along with the affidavit and the 20-page Exhibit A, the warrant is sufficiently particular and valid. Forensic Detective Lawrence Mowry set forth why he believed the defendant's cell phone would contain evidence of the crime. Well, he did in the probable cause. While the Seagate 2 terabyte external USB drive search warrant was broadly worded regarding each category of digital evidence listed, the search warrant affidavit. So this is a whole new thing, because when you go and you look at the other, we have not heard of particular Seagate 2 terabyte external USB drive. We had heard USB drive was taken out of the home, and I believe that was in the Pennsylvania. But apparently, this is I wonder what's on that 2 terabytes worth of stuff.
Well, a Seagate hard drive.
What is this?
A Seagate hard drive is going to be something that's about the size of like 5 or 6 DVDs. If you like stack up 5 DVDs next to each other, it's about that tall, maybe a little taller, maybe a little wider, but it connects to your laptop or it connects to your whatever your server is with USB. That's why it's called a USB drive, only because the connection is with USB, but it's actually a hard drive. I have one so I can access my data remotely when I'm on the road, but it's not like a little thumb drive like what I got from the Maricopa County Clerk's Office. It's like a big, like it's bigger than that.
Let me see. I'm going to pull up the
So, but it's very intentional. When you use one of those, you use it specifically to back up your data. So maybe you have an automatic backup set every night or every other night. Shouldn't be once a week. That's not often enough, but some people do it once a week. But they back up all the new files that you created on your computer are probably going to that hard drive either nightly or every other night or a couple times a week.
Huh. Like, is that all you would use that for, is to back up stuff?
Probably so, yes. It's a backup hard drive, backup and storage for data.
All right,
and that data includes your Google searches, like your personal data. Like, it will grab everything that has been created since the last backup on your computer, and it will put it on that everything new that's been created since the last backup, including your Google searches and things like that.
I wonder if this is going to let me show this to you guys. Hold on. It's not. Maybe it will. Yes. Okay. This is. Get out of the way there. You're in the way. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. What in the world? Go back. That's the wrong thing. Okay. This is a list. This is like the first page. It's 1 through 23. These are items that were taken out of the home in Pennsylvania when they searched his parents' house. Number 1 just says knife. It's no description, nothing, just knife. Other knives were taken, and we got a description of those, but that one always intrigued everybody because there was never a description, just knife. So number 2 always intrigued me because it says book with underlining on page 118. And many have speculated what that book might be or what it could be. And why would they, what about that underlined page on 118 stood out to make them take that into evidence? So number 3, AT&T bill for Brian C. Kohberger. Number 4, Glock 22 Gen S 40 caliber with the serial number. Number 5, Smith & Wesson pocket knife. Number 6, folder containing vehicle paperwork. Number 7, an Acer laptop. Number 8, a green leafy substance in green container. Number 9, documents. Number 10, green leafy substance in a plastic bag. So he had his weed with him. Number 11, white paper with password. Number 12 is a power cable. Number 13 was a cell phone. 14, 3 Glock 40 caliber magazines, empties in quotations. Number 15 was books. Number 16, black face mask. Pandemic was over. Number 17, prescription. Number 18, black gloves. Didn't want to touch things. He was kind of scared he was going to get the cooties. Number 19, 1 black hat and 1 black mask. Number 20, personal identifying documents. Number 21, New Balance shoes. 22, a dark colored jacket, dark colored shirt, dark colored pants, dark colored shirt, another dark colored shirt, another dark colored shirt. So there's another one, another page to this as well. Let me get the second page. Oops. Go back, yeah. Here we go. Oh, I can't do it that way. Sorry. It won't pull up right.
So number 3 was a book with a highlighted passage of some kind.
Yeah, page 118.
Yes.
It was underlined.
Yes. And number 8 was a leafy green substance. So here's my theory. He smoked weed and read poetry by Robert Frost. I think that's what he was doing.
What? You cut out. All we heard was all I heard was
no, that was like my comedy bit of the night, and you missed it. He's smoking weed and reading Robert Frost poetry. That was it.
Yeah, he was smoking some weed. I just don't know what one. What was that one book? Damn Danger. What was that one book we theorized that it could have been?
Oh, well, that professor that he went to her class back in Pennsylvania. Remember when he went to like a
DeSales?
Yeah.
Catherine. He studied under Catherine Ramsfeld or whatever. However you pronounce her
and she published a book, right?
Oh, she's published. She was the authority on BTK.
Right.
Serial killer. and she's like the authority on that guy, and she's published many books. She's pretty big in the criminology world, and he went to DeSales and studied under her. But I think he didn't like remotely of some of it. I'm not sure how it worked. I got to review the records from DeSales again. But yes, he studied under her, and in fact, there's going to be documents in this that came from that. Let's see.
You missed my punchline. I can't believe you missed my punchline. Dang it.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm never going to be a professional comedian now.
Oh,
That's
so they
totally
all
ruined for me.
they also took several pairs of dark colored pants. Now 25 was clear plastic glove. Another Acer laptop. This one had damage. One laptop with damage. They don't know what kind, as a question mark. Number 28, record of sale, Glock 22 Gen S 40 cal. Number 29. This one always intrigued me because it was an item that was photographed but not taken. Like, so they photographed something in the parents' home, and whatever they photographed was left there, and they just took the photos. So what in the world could that have been? Did he have like some drawings on his bedroom wall from childhood that I don't know? Like, I could never figure out what would they take a picture of but not take into evidence. So I don't know. That's a crazy one. Number 30 was a note in a desk. All right. Number 31, criminal psychology book. 32, documents and DeSales University notebook. Number 33 was an extra large Columbia Navy fleece. 34, a man's hand drawing. Google that real quick, Joe. A man's hand draw. That's what you Google. It was a drawing of that. I don't know, Annie. I don't know. It's a hard call, girl. The defense ain't, bringing it like they need to, so. And I don't think that ex parte meeting the other day without the prosecution was like to tattletale or say, like, look, we got this information that they did all this lying. Anne's going to do that right in front of the prosecution in court. She ain't going to hold back if she had all that kind of evidence. She's not going to, so remember the first ex parte hearing they held was to discuss Anne's pay. And now they've had a second ex parte with Ann Taylor. So who knows what that was about. Yeah, right. The good news is Judge Hippler does not play. And people who didn't like Judge, I'm sure they're going to start coming up with reasons not to like this judge now. So it is what it is. 35, ID cards inside glove, inside box. Everybody debated for a long time about these ID cards inside of a glove, inside of a box. Did they belong to the victims? We don't think they did. I don't think they did. Who knows? And who knows what they were about? The hell they might have been at this point. I don't know. Various criminology books, notes, license, and card. A dark colored hat, black colored gloves, Seagate, Barracuda, Samsung, solid state drive. Would that be the Seagate 2 terabyte external USB drive?
Quite possibly.
I forgot that it said that. It's been a minute since I revisited these. Black box Samsung SSD with Intel Optane. 2 pairs of black gloves, 1 black knit hat. These could have been just like regular black long sleeve shirt, black sweatshirt, gray jacket, 2 pairs of black pants, and more clothing, and more gloves. Goodness, he had lots of gloves and jackets, but it gets cold where they're at, so there's only a few things on here that made me go, what is that? What, like the clothes and stuff like that, what is that going to prove? I don't know. Unless it had blood on it or something, victim's DNA blood or whatever, then it would make a difference. But there was just a few odd things, like the man's hand drawing, the photograph they took but left the item behind, the guns, who, because this was his parents' home, so a lot of these things were taken out of the room that he kept at his parents' house, because he'd only been out in Washington not even a year, just a few months actually, when everything took place. So I don't know. It's interesting is that Seagate Barracuda. It's got the same name, so I'm going to assume that that's what they're talking about. And they want that suppressed. Why would you want that one item specifically? They want the whole warrant suppressed, but that one item they're going after. They don't want it out there, along with the cell phone data. Isn't that crazy?
It's one of those things that make you go,
Well, look at this. Is going to be from the Elantra.
Oh, I remember this. I think just like seeing blurbs of it, there are certain pieces of evidence that were collected from the Elantra that they want suppressed, right? Just like weird certain individual items.
We can look at the defense's motion on that, because they do want the Elantra warrant suppressed. That's one of that is one of the things that the defense wanted to suppress was the search warrant on the Elantra. Which if you can invalidate the search warrant, then any evidence that came out of there is null and void. But we'll go visit that and see, because we have
Fruit of the
that.
poison tree. If they can prove that the warrant was invalid.
I think what there's because they're saying that the police lied or omitted things to the judge to get their warrant, and I think the only thing that she's really said is they use the IGG, which they're not supposed to, right? Like, not like your main evidence. That can't be. That's just an investigative tool, and that's been her whole thing. When, where, what came first, chicken or the egg? Y'all found the Elantra and found him, or did you get the IGG and then find him?
Right.
So
right.
that's
So here's a big picture everyday Joe Schmo question for you. How do you feel about the strength of the evidence that's presented in the Bryan Kohberger warrants and the evidence that was gathered from those warrants versus the Delphi Richard Allen evidence that was presented in the search warrant, the probable cause affidavit, and what was gathered from that?
There's no comparison, man. I sat through months of listening to how this PCA in Idaho was garbage, didn't make any sense, all these things. It made a lot of sense to me, especially when I sat down and you put certain camera times on paper and you put the car sightings alleged on paper, and you just look at the times, and because that's what they're trying to say, it all lines up. In my opinion, personally, the PCA in Idaho is 100 times stronger than what Richard Allen had. They had an unspent round and a tip from a guy who said he was there because he was actually there. 5 years later, they found that tip. Lo and behold, just found it out of nowhere, and he was arrested a month before Bryan Kohberger. Bryan Kohberger committed the murders and was arrested 6 weeks later. Delphi, the murders were committed and they arrested somebody 5 years later. I think, to me, they're night and day. I've went down every rabbit hole with everybody on YouTube. I've gotten behind all the theories. I've tried to put weight behind them, and they all pan out to nothing. And I've been doing this for 2 years with this case. Like, it got so dormant during Delphi because everybody done talked all their theories to death, but nobody could bring any receipts for things or show. And if y'all all have the answer, and everybody was going to holler about, I'm going to, email Ann Taylor and we're going to do all these things. I'm sure everybody did. I'm sure Ann Taylor got all those emails by now and has went through them, but she's not said a word about any of that stuff. Not one word. Unlike in Delphi, they come out with a whole Frank's motion memorandum talking about a whole alternate theory based out of the state's investigation. I don't know what Frank's memorandum says. It's under seal, but if she can't prove, And we saw how that worked out for the Delphi case. It didn't. It's very hard to get a Frank's hearing. It's very hard to get ruled in favor of yourself for the defense, during that type of hearing. So I'm waiting on Ann Taylor to bring me something I can really jump on board with, and then maybe. But so far she's not. She kind of gets there, and then she backtracks on it every single time. So I've decided I got to wait till trial because I honestly don't know. I know Linda Lane, there is a light colored sedan circling its prey over there doing. It's grainy, They tell me that's DNA on the sheath belongs to Kohberger. Right now, I'm going to believe it. I don't, you know, Delphi, framing Richard Allen, 5 years later, election coming up. 6 weeks later, we're going to randomly pick out this guy and frame him for this Idaho murders. We know why they would frame Richard Allen. The guy said he was there. He kind of dresses like that guy. This will work. Let's make this stick. Well, nobody's brought me a good enough theory on how Kohberger was picked to be set up. You know what I mean? So I can't get there yet. I've tried. God knows I've tried.
Damn, do I know how to ask good questions or what? Because that was a fantastic answer. That was amazing.
I felt like it was long-winded. I was getting tired of hearing myself talk.
No, it was perfect. It was perfect. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
No, well, thank you for asking then. Yeah, everyone dresses like a bridge guy, to be fair, right, Lindsay? So, all right. So from the Elantra, they took swabs, a Ziploc bag with pink zipper. All right. A plastic baggie with a green zipper. 7 quarters, 36 dimes, 32 nickels, 8 pennies, gloves, receipts, car insurance card, car registration, hiking boots. Can we get the soil test on those? Comfort Inn room key and holder and stay information. Him and his dad probably stopped at least one night on their road trip back to Pennsylvania to get some sleep. Thai food wears you out. Tire irons and the shovel. I need soil testing done on that shovel in a really big way. All right, so that they have another page of that. Let me pull that one down. Okay, here's the other one for the other page. Come back here. We had heard they took like the gas pedals and the brake pedals and all these things, like pieced the car apart and shipped it back over to Idaho. Goggles, floor mats, reflective vest. Remember, he said he likes to hike, and did he like to jog at night? We know he was a runner. So a reflective vest, used water bottles, get the DNA, a wrench, a door panel, seats and seat cushions. They're going to test that for any type of evidence that may have lingered. Headrest, seatbelt, visor, fiber, brake pedal, gas pedal, phone charger, Band-Aid, wrappers, maps. He was traveling across country. Documents, seatbelt, and a boot. Right, Lindsay? Don't search my car. I got kids. Y'all don't want to go there. That's funny. So we went over is there anything in particular in the Pennsylvania warrant, that you saw that you jumped out at you from the parents' house?
No, it's all going to come down to IGG, right? It's all going to come down to whether or not that's admissible or not. Because if IGG isn't admissible, then it's fruit of the poison tree after that.
Well, they got to prove which came first. They found that car, or, I don't know. It's almost weird because the timeline, and it's always been that way from the beginning. If you just fairly looked at what they were doing, they were trying to find who that DNA belonged to. So of course they were trying to build, because I'm not going to hate on IGG because they've used it in so many other cases. Why not Delphi? We'll never know. But it's not supposed to be your main tool. That is an investigative tool. That's what led to them capturing the Golden State Killer. They run around gathering people's DNA constantly. Rex Horman threw his pizza out. They got that box, got that crust, got that DNA, and it matched their victims, what was on their victims. They knew that was their guy. So, there's just different things that they do that I know they're going to do. If they want to fight IGG, there's the Supreme Courts, they're in Idaho. They're going to have to go there to do it. But they're not supposed to use it as their main piece of evidence to go get these warrants. So we don't know. The timeline is so tight, really, on that as to when the officer found the WSU, and from WSU found that Elantra and ran it, and it came back to Bryan Kohberger, and they're like, oh, he's got bushy eyebrows. And then they began to investigate him. Is that what led them to him? I don't know. Or was it you got the IGG back and said, oh, it matches it? They can't give you a solid that when he at his apartment, he made buddies with a guy there, and he had told the guy, Danger, am I remembering this correctly? That he allegedly told the guy that he had put his DNA in like 23andMe, but we don't know if that's true. There's no confirmation of that. Was this guy just saying that? I don't know. But so, if if his DNA was in one of those systems, then they would have found a match on IGG. Otherwise, it showed them a probability of things, right? So then they go get the dad's DNA thinking it could be Kohberger's because it's coming out of the family trash. And it turns out that that particular DNA they got out matched the probable father of the DNA they had on the sheath. And then as they're watching Kohberger in the darkness, he's taking his garbage down to the neighbors and throwing it away. They go down there and get it, pull it out, and wow, we have a match. This is the guy on the sheath. I don't know which one came first. Anne's got to figure that out and let us know. If that came first, then they're in trouble. That's all there is to it. Item seized from the apartment: one nitrate type black glove, one Walmart receipt with one Dickies tag. Would you leave your murder suit tag laying in your apartment when you leave to go out of town for a few weeks? Two Marshall's receipts, dust container from the Bissell Power Force vacuum, 8 possible hair strands, Fire TV stick with cord and plug, one possible animal hair strand, one possible hair, one possible hair.
All right, you gotta stop right there.
We are. That's it.
Because if you go and search my room right now, that's almost going to be an identical match to shit that you pull from my room right now.
Yeah.
I have a fire stick with a cord and plug. I have
Right.
possible animal hair strands. I have possible hairs. I don't have the dust container from the vacuum, but that's just because the vacuum is not in my room right now. But if I had vacuumed my room today, it might be. I don't go to Marshalls, but I have other shopping receipts in my room. I have Walmart receipts in my room, and I have nitrite style black gloves in my room because I use them when I cook.
In your room.
So
Oh, I'm giving you a
yeah,
hard time. I
right.
knew you
No,
were going to say that. I knew you were going to say you used them when you cooked.
yeah. No, I use them for food service, but I don't put them out on the kitchen table and leave them there. I got to store them somewhere, so they're in my room. But I mean, if you search my room right now, there's going to be a very similar summary of items collected, plus
Yeah.
about 90 others.
Yeah. Um, so there was not a whole lot of stuff in his apartment. Like, everybody made a big deal. There was no shower curtain in the apartment. There was like very, very minimal. I think like a bed in the bedroom. One of the rooms wasn't even used. I think that's how it went down. One bedroom wasn't used. One bedroom was his. There was hardly anything taken out of there, right? Or left in that apartment. It's like he lived like hair. You're going to find cat hair in my room right now, and you're probably going to find some dog hair. We have a cat and a dog. Of course, my hair is everywhere. Like, if I ride in your vehicle, I'm going to leave my transferred DNA wherever I go.
Yeah. So tell us about the blood stain on the pillow that we heard about when he was first arrested.
Yeah, let me see where that one is. Where's it at? Oh, right here. This should be it. Yes, this is it. Okay. Another possible hair. Oops. Sorry, guys. Okay. Another possible hair. One more possible hair strand. One computer tower. One collection of dark red spot collected
Ooh,
without testing.
interesting.
Yeah. Two cuttings from uncased pillow of reddish brown stain. Larger strain, it says strain, but I guess should be stain. Larger stain tested. I
Wait,
guess
whoa. There were two cuttings, but they only tested one. Why in the heck would you not test both of them?
well, they probably did a presumptive test on site and then took both in for further testing because they can do the presumptive blood test on
Right.
site. And
Okay.
yeah. And then C, the final thing is 2 top and bottom mattress cover packaged separately, both labeled multiple stains, one tested.
Hmm.
There was speculation, did he injure, if you went in there and did what he did, you would have injured yourself. Maybe, maybe not.
I honestly,
Person you come in
unaliving
contact with. Yeah.
unaliving four people in that violent manner, it seems highly unlikely that you wouldn't injure yourself somehow. I mean, just
Somehow.
yeah. Unaliving four people that violently seems like you probably would injure yourself somehow.
Just hairstylist. Danger. Stop. Oh my god. Look, my mouse is throwing me off. Let me get up here. Um, well, people wondered, like, he have a doctor's appointment scheduled, and it was alleged out there that he had a doctor's appointment. I don't know where people got that from, because how would anybody really know that information? Um, but allegedly, he had a doctor's appointment not long after the unalivings, and everyone's like, well, if he went to the doctor, wouldn't they have noticed if he had wounds? Well, what if he went to his psych doctor? He had visual snow. He had the ADHD. He had things. Maybe he was on medication. Maybe he went in for a meds check, like a lab. I don't know if he went to the damn doctor, but
Well, he was also trying to get off of like the nasty shit, right? Like
no, he
wasn't
was
done.
already done off that. Drugs.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no. Once an addict, always an addict.
Oh, I know
So
that. I mean, allegedly, he had not used drugs in years. Like there's articles that his friends that grew up with him or that were actually doing things with him, people who knew him. There are a few things out there. I can show you one. But he had been clean for several years.
that's interesting because we don't hear
Knowledge
that
there.
stuff. We don't hear that side of it from mainstream media. We don't.
Um,
So
Yeah, a lot of
I
that's been out there. A lot of this stuff, a lot of it, because every time mainstream media, like the first year this case was popping off, this is 2 years now. They're kind of tired of it. The first year, it was constant, constant, constant. Like I was telling you the other night when somebody we know who was going live was having a guest, I was worried because I know how people, and I know too much about this Idaho 4 community, but they covered everything they could find about this guy. And there's not a ton out there. There really isn't. But yeah, they have reported all of that about, he was passed on drugs and when he got clean and all of that. I think it was after high school, before DeSales, when he got clean. He didn't have a choice, I don't think. And then that's when his friends said began to change. He got clean. He got the stomach surgery for the weight loss because he was a really, really heavy, like 300 pounds growing up. And it wasn't until high school when he began to slim down some because he wanted to go into the law enforcement. He was in that law enforcement program at school. So he battled weight, depression, anxiety, and then he was on drugs and he had the visual snow and things like that were going on. But a lot of people deal with that. You know what I mean? That's a lot of folks have to deal with those
Right.
kind of things. It's not just that doesn't make you a mass murderer.
No. No. And if you can get clean from that, more power to you. That's awesome.
Yeah, because as far as we know, no, he was not using during this time. Um, I'll find that article in a second. Here's one. No, I don't want to leave. What are you talking about? Oh, how did that happen? Hold on. I didn't have two screens up. No wonder. Not doing it right. I need more coffee. Okay. All right, Danger. Thanks for coming in. We'll chat with you later.
Hey, Danger. Catch you later, bud. Appreciate you dropping in.
Okay. Let me see if I can get this to show correctly. You know, it's just like it's odd to me that every time that his defense does come out and bring something, they don't seem to follow through with it. It just, I don't know. And I think she's got a lot of the things she had talked about in the past that she wasn't getting that she finally got. Let me see if I can get this up here for you guys and we'll read this. This is from, okay. Because there's not a lot out there about his history. There's some things like, you know, where he worked as a teenager at the fish hatchery thing that didn't last long. Went to school, got, you know, was after he got over the drugs and everything, he did really well and he lost the weight. And then he went on to, you know, the college and do other things. And he got his degrees and he was still going forward with all of that. But the only thing that did come out was there was a teacher, well, she was an administrator. She was an administrator at the high school where he went to school at. And she did a podcast, and I forgot the name of that podcast, Idaho Massacre or something like that, that she came in, I guess, talked to them about it, and articles and media picked it up and ran stories on it. So, you know, I'm only going by what this teacher has come out and said. And I think she also did a thing with Nancy Grace, and then after that, she kind of just went silent. But a former high school administrator revealed an investigation carried out years ago into Bryan Kohberger when he was a student, which ultimately doomed his enrollment in law enforcement training program. Kohberger, a Pennsylvania native who had been doing doctoral studies at Washington State University, was arrested at his parents' home in late December and charged with the killings of the 4 Idaho students. The home was only 8 miles away from Kohberger's campus. I think it was a little more than that, like 10. An extensive FBI investigation utilizing vehicle records and DNA evidence ultimately led to Kohberger becoming the prime suspect in the killings. In May, a grand jury indicted him on 4 counts of murder, 1 count of felony burglary. The judge overseeing his arraignment entered a not guilty plea because he stood silent. Oh, there he is. So Tanya Carmela Beers was the administrator at the school. She previously served as an administrator at a vocational high school that Kohberger attended. With her duties, including mental health services and student discipline, Kohberger attended the vocational during his sophomore and junior years of high school. Speaking with the Idaho Massacre podcast, she described an incident in which several female students lodged complaints against him, ultimately leading to his removal from the school's vocational law enforcement program. A situation occurred where a complaint was made, and the teacher reported to me and said an investigation needed to be conducted. She explained. Other students were interviewed. Bryan was interviewed, and you know, there comes a time when decisions have to be made, she said, whether it's the decision the student wants or not. She continued by saying that he was removed from the law enforcement program and transitioned into the HVAC program. And then at the end of the 11th grade year is when he decided not to return as a senior. Because after that, he did virtual school. Like he didn't go back in person. Yeah, Beyond Fire, it's gossip. It's the statement from the administrator. It's been out there for 2 years. We're just reviewing it. It doesn't mean anything. A lot of people get kicked out of programs, whether it happened or not. I don't know if she'd actually come out and say it if it didn't happen. Um, but what does it mean? I don't know. But he was transitioned into the HVAC program, which was what his father did. And then at the end of the 11th grade years, when he decided not to return as a senior, and we do know he did not return, he did finish out his senior year doing virtual learning. She added she would not elaborate on what Koberger had been accused of, but did note that what had him removed from the program when she looks back makes sense now, which I guess she could make that same if she wants to. But the thing about it is, there's not a lot out there about this guy's history, except for he stole the phone from his sister and his dad turned him in. Um, this teacher saying he was kicked out of the program, him himself saying he had the visual snow, and the things that he said about himself on his in his Reddits that he was taught in the what was it, Tappa Talks. I've got all those around there too, and the Tappa Talks come straight from him. Um, I got suspension once or twice in high school too.
Well,
She said,
when you go to a vocational high school like that, and to be honest, that's one of my favorite types of high school because it prepares you for a trade that doesn't require a 4-year college degree. So, a vocational high school, that means you're going into law enforcement, you're going into, I can't even
well,
imagine all of,
he attended Pleasant Valley High School, but he did the vocational. It's like they said he really, really wanted to be in that program, and he was not happy when he was taken out of that program. He
right,
didn't want to be.
right,
He didn't want to be in the HVAC program, but yeah, that's what he did. And then after that, this when he did went back to Pleasant Valley High School, but he finished that out senior year virtually. And then he attended like the community college there in Pennsylvania before he went on and onto DeSales. Let's see. I wanted to see if I let me because I'm
right. So
trying to
the
go ahead.
the general career that you're going to come out of if you go to a vocational high school is plumber, electrician, contractor, one of the trades that doesn't require a 4-year degree.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm a big fan of that because we shouldn't pay $40,000 a year for 4 years to get a degree
Oh
in
yeah, they have a
in
good
today.
vocational school here,
Yeah,
over in town that you can attend if you don't want, as an option.
right.
Um,
So that was a good option, but if he got kicked out of that, that was like probably doubly damning. Like that was, oh no,
yeah,
you didn't. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, if it's true, I mean, I'm sure that if it is true, what caused him to be taken? What happened? But he was removed from it, and what happened? We don't know, and I don't know if that'll ever come up in court. Ann Taylor's not going to want to bring that out, of course. The defense probably don't, or prosecution probably doesn't need it or whatever. But Ann will definitely remember. She said hearings ago she has to go back through Koberger's history, generations into his history, so she can prepare for his death penalty phase. Meaning, if my client's found guilty, I'm going to give you all these reasons why he doesn't need that death penalty. This is in his history. Why? So it's very, she goes both ways with it. She does. This attorney goes both ways. And it's so sometimes it's like, okay. And then she even said that in court, I got to go back generations. And we're like, why? Just go back to his own childhood. He's the one on trial here, not the generational past. I don't know. Is she going to come out and say he I don't know. I'll have to review some of those hearings. Okay, this was Bryan Kohberger's alibi, because the defense toyed around with, we got an alibi, and finally the state's like, okay, you got an alibi, produce it, and they did. Is what she said. It took them a while. Like, I think the notice of the defendant's response to the state's alibi, gosh, came out like in July of 23. They didn't hand over Kohberger's alibi until April of 24. Why? If he had a strong alibi and your client didn't do it, why wasn't this offered up pretty much up front? You know what I mean? It took a long time to get that alibi, after trying to get the indictment and all that thrown out unsuccessfully. So this is comes Bryan C. Kohberger. Can you guys see it okay? I can't, my screen over here is too small. I can't tell if you guys can see it.
I see it fine. What is C? What is his middle name?
Christopher.
Okay.
Bryan Kohberger, Bryan through his attorney of record, Ancy Taylor, public defender. All right, Mr. Kohberger moved to Pullman, Washington in June of 2022. Sorry. As an avid runner and hiker, he explored many areas of the Palouse. Of note, he explored Wawawee Park in July of 2022. That's when he first moved there. And this became a favorite location. After the school year began, Mr. Kohberger was busy with classes and work at Washington State University, and his running and hiking decreased but did not stop. Instead, his nighttime drives increased. This is supported by data from Mr. Kohberger's phone, the one you want suppressed, showing him in the countryside late at night or in the early morning on several occasions. The phone data includes numerous photographs taken on several different late evenings and early mornings, including in November, depicting the night sky. So why do we want it suppressed? I'm going to have to keep saying that. Mr. Kohberger was out driving in early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, as he often did to hike and run and or see the moon and stars. He drove throughout the area south of Pullman, Washington, west of Moscow, including Wawawee Park. Partial corroboration. Mr. Kohberger intends to offer testimony of CSLI expert, cell phone tower, cell phone, and other radio frequency circular vitae is attached. To Washington and west of Moscow on November 13th. That Bryan's mobile device did not travel east on the Moscow-Pullman highway in the early morning hours of the 13th, and thus could not be the vehicle captured on the video. Along the I butchered that a little bit. So they're saying that could not be him because his phone was somewhere else, that they spotted, captured on the video on the highway near Floyd's Cannabis Shop. And I know where Floyd's is at. I've been all over the maps, like, oh, there's a big old camera there. Additional information to Mr. Kohberger's whereabouts as early morning hours progressed, including additional analysis by Mr. Ray, will be provided once the state provides discovery requested, and now subject to an upcoming motion to compel. Now, it's your client's phone, and you're already telling us that there's going to be evidence on that phone showing he was in another location, and his photographs are on that phone, but she needs to wait for the state to give her the evidence in her motion to, it's crazy. If not disclosed, Mr. Ray's testimony will also reveal that critical exculpatory evidence further corroborating Mr. Kohberger's alibi. And that's the alibi. So again, she's not saying he was over here. We got people who saw him. He stopped for gas here. He stopped for a bite to eat here. None of that. Just he's not there. He's driving in another location, and your cell phone data information is going to prove that. But now they want that suppressed, and I think that's weird.
He liked to hike and run and see the moon and stars.
Yeah, but the hiking and the
That
running decreased as the uh, weather changed and he got, closer to school time. Then he started driving around
but
more.
that's his alibi. He liked to hike and run and see the moon and stars. I do too. Well, no, honestly, I don't like to hike and run. I mean, I like to hike. I don't like to run. I can't run very far, but I like
I
to
don't do
see
the
the moon
running.
and stars.
Yes, I
But
like to do the hiking, and
yeah,
I'll
no,
be outside watching the moon and stars as well. Um,
yeah, but I'm not going and murdering for college students anytime
but that's
soon.
not a very
Yeah.
strong alibi,
No,
it's not. And why would you need the state's I mean, I know you want your discovery turned over, no shit, but you're waiting on that to tell for Ray to review to show that my client was where I'm telling you he was at. Like, why can't y'all just subpoena his phone too? It's your client. You should have all that information. She needs to have all of it because she let's see. Here is what let's look at what all the state did or the defense did want suppressed. Now, she had stated a while back in one of the hearings that motions to suppress were coming, including the sheath. So far, she hasn't asked for that motion yet. And I've been waiting on that one for since she said it that day in court. I was like, oh, okay. How is she going to do that? And so I've been waiting on that motion to suppress the sheath to come down, and it hasn't yet. She just began to drop these types of motions. So she wanted a motion to suppress. Can you guys see it? The genetic info, a motion to suppress the memorandum in support, which is they want the Amazon suppressed. They want the apartment search, Brian Koberger's Apple account, the arrest warrant, the AT&T first warrant, the cell phone data, the PIN, the Google. I don't know what the Google warrant. That could be so many things. It could even be geofencing. Pin, trap, and trace, the person in Idaho, person in PEA, the things that were taken from him was going to be what your DNA and what he had on that night. The White Elantra, the 119 Lambston statements. Now, see, there were statements made allegedly by Brian Koberger, and whatever those statements were, apparently they were. Let's see what it says here. So apparently he did make statements to law enforcement that night, and whatever those statements were, and wants those suppressed as well. Now, we had heard that he said he couldn't wait. The brief attorney he had for a minute over there when he
do
first got
those pull
arrested.
up? When you click on that, do those pull up? Because we can't see that right now.
Oh, hang on. You should be able to see this one. This is, Chrome. Let's see. Yes. Can you see it now?
Yes, there we go.
Okay. So they wanted to Pennsylvania search warrant for 119 Lambston Albright, and statements made. So comes Brian C. Koberger through his attorneys of record, submit the following memorandum in support of his contemptuously filed motion for an order suppressing all evidence gathered by law enforcement as a result of entry into search of Koberger's parents' home, including statements made after his arrest.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Wow!
So I know what.
Yeah, this is a big deal. Like this motion and how the judge rules on it is a big deal.
Yeah,
I'm telling you now.
I know, and we'll have to wait over the next week and 2 weeks because there's a lot of motions for this judge to go through. This judge is pretty, he's been on the bench a long time. He's not new to the game, so he's got the requirements and the experience to deal with all this. But it's going to take him a minute to get through all these motions, and it took a minute. Days ago, And I'm like waiting every day. I'm checking, like, where are these damn motions? Where are they? Knowing they're all going to be sealed or mostly sealed. Um, but little things like this start coming out at them. You know what I mean? Um, because he was given an attorney, like a public defender, there when he first got arrested in Pennsylvania, for arraignment and to get the hearing for the extradition and all that. And that attorney went on the news and said that Kohberger stated he couldn't wait to get back to Idaho to be exonerated. So apparently he said more than that, and there was apparently some interviews done. We already knew about that they with the Moscow Police Department, and apparently he had a phone call. I just remembered that. I got to go back to digging that document for that. But like once he was arrested, I think he spoke with investigators briefly on the phone from Idaho. I feel like that happened, like a 15-minute phone call, because Anne spoke about that at one point during a hearing, I believe. I got to go back and research that in my own notes. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what kind
Holy
of state.
crap, that would be huge. Like if he actually spoke to investigators instead of
Mhm.
invoking his right to remain silent, that would be huge.
Right, I'm telling you, if I'm across the country and they come knocking on my door and you're arrested for what happened back there, these 4 people, I'm not saying a word. Like, what are you talking about? Give me a damn lawyer. I'm not saying nothing. Um, you,
Always,
you,
always.
we
Yeah.
would also, well, that he's a criminology major. He knew better,
Yep.
right? Wouldn't you know better? Because I always felt like everybody, because he's so smart, he would never do this, he wouldn't all. Okay, I'm going to give him that. He is very smart. So if you did do this, why take that damn phone with you when you could have easily said, you know what, I went out for my nightly drive, I couldn't sleep, got like 30 minutes down the road, 20 minutes down the road, realized I didn't have my damn phone, but I wasn't going to turn around and go back and get it. It was like, whatever, I'm just going to make my little usual drive and going back to the house.
Right. This
Would have
is
been.
this is very similar to me to the Luigi Mangione bullshit that we have going on right now. Because and I think Bob Mata summed it up like very succinctly to me today. He's like, show me something that's interesting about this case. Because somebody that's that smart is making those mistakes, and it's the same in Brian Koberger and the Idaho Four. Somebody that's this smart is making these mistakes. Maybe he is, maybe he did, and maybe he got caught. So I need to see that. I need
Well,
to
book
see that.
smarts, brain smarts like that, and common
Yep,
sense don't always go hand in hand.
yep. I I was very book smart, and my mom always said to me something that still stings to this day because she's not with us. But she used to say, "You don't have the sense God gave a wooden goose."
Your mom, my mom sound the same.
Yep.
My mom used to tell my sister the same thing. Oh my god, my headset's falling off. But yes, my sister had to hear the same thing. Where is your common sense, girl?
Yep. Yep.
There's no
And
such
maybe,
thing as a perfect
yeah.
crime. You're
And
bound to make
right.
mistakes.
And maybe Luigi made some common sense mistakes, and maybe Brian Kober made some common sense mistakes. We're going to find out. I hope.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, they're just like, I've tried. Like, I look at every case. I don't come into any case automatic. This person's got to be innocent. Cops are crazy. I never do that because I don't think that. That's not normal to think that way. Yeah, we should be skeptical and make sure things are straight, and all the things. But I spent a long time looking at this case, and then as Delphi started progressing and the big differences I was seeing, it's like all you heard when people. So when this case first started with Idaho 4, um, people who were like supporting him, I guess you could say, started catching a bunch of flack for it. They're Koberger supporters or whatever, and they're like, no, it's about his rights, right to a fair trial, right to this, right to that. Okay, well, guess what? Brian Koberger has sat in a county jail for 2 years. Brian Koberger is allowed to wear a suit and tie to every single public hearing held. Brian Koberger gets vegan meals. Brian Koberger's got a good defense team. the top in the state of Idaho for death penalty. He couldn't get no better than Ann Taylor. So how attorney come up and demand a bail hearing? I didn't see Idaho throw him in prison, kind of like Luigi and Rick Allen. Like, this guy's been treated really well. So it can no longer be about the argument to his basic rights because they have all been met. You know what I mean? Um, Someone made a comment the other day. Well, Judge announced his retirement. After Ann went to court and said he made her choose between speedy trial and effective counsel. No, Ann Taylor blamed the law in Idaho for that, not the judge. The judge just happened to be sitting on the case. I just don't see, and I don't know if this guy's guilty or innocent. I honest to God don't. How can I? And not unless I see all the evidence laid out in court. But I feel like they do have probable cause at this point. And apparently they got something because she wants this right here gone. These statements that he made. Apparently he wasn't saying, hey, you got the wrong guy. I didn't do it. I don't know. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. And it's what's even crazier is like the carryover between the cases, between Karen Reed, Delphi, Richard Allen, Abby and Libby, and Justice for Abby and Libby, and the Idaho 4 and Justice for the Idaho 4. There are similarities and there are differences that are so striking that it's really hard to like stay on top of it all. It really is.
Well, I've been so deep in Idaho since the very beginning, right? Like I said, I've heard some of the most bizarre things in the world, that alternate scenarios, alternate theories, all these things. But I want to see Anne Frank's motion. I wish I could read it the way I was able to read the one in Delphi. If the judge grants her a hearing, then there might be something to what she's got in that Frank's motion. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Judge Hippler is just like Judge Gold. What, 2 appearances before him since they've been sent to Ada County. I didn't feel like Judge was a bad judge. I just felt like he was overwhelmed at some point, and this lady's not going to stop with her motions, and they're not going to get him off on a technicality because something I did. She wants her change of venue, fine, let her have it. And boy, did she get it. And she got her a whole new judge in the process that she knows is not going to play. Ada County's done been through this. They just did Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow. They're like, bring it, Idaho. They're very used to it. But it's just, I found when Ann Taylor files something that I want to get behind her about, she doesn't seem to follow up with it. And I have a problem with that. So I can't, I'm not going to base how I feel about him being innocent or guilty on some random rumors I've heard on YouTube, because I've heard them all, and apparently there was nobody else really investigated. Actually, there were others investigated in the Idaho 4 case. We know for a fact that law enforcement did follow some other individual and collected a cigarette butt from him. That was brought out in court. Other people, they were looking at people close to the victims. You have to start there, closest to them, when you don't know what happened.
What? Are you serious?
What?
They were investigating somebody else and they collected a cigarette butt?
Yeah, to see if it matched that sheath. Because it took 6 weeks to arrest Kohberger. It took a while, right? Well, to me, 6 weeks in a murder like that, I kind of thought it would happen pretty quick, because I felt like if that's a kid going in there and doing all that for like a, love triangle or jealousy or whatever, they're going to be real sloppy and get caught. That's not apparently what happened. So during their early investigation, and there were 3 other DNAs, unknown males, according to Ann Taylor, that were found in and near the crime scene. The house was full of DNA, random DNAs everywhere.
No way. Not in a college party house.
Not in a college party house. But these particular ones were, but these 3 were close to the crime scene. Like, I'm thinking bedroom knob door, right?
Wow. Okay.
They're adults. They're going to have sleepovers with their partners. You know,
Right.
where in relation to the victims were those unknown DNAs from? Whatever the question was there, Anne apparently got satisfied with an answer to that because she hasn't brought it back up since. Like, everybody
Interesting.
jumped on that the minute she brought it up, but she's not talked about it anymore. But yes, it was brought out in court that there was a person they followed, and they did collect a cigarette butt from that person. But whoever that was, the DNA off that cigarette butt didn't match the DNA on that sheath or any other DNA I guess they had in the home. So they did investigate other people. Now, is
Wow.
Anne going to
Word
talk
to the
about that in
wise.
her rights motion?
If word to the wise, if you're gonna unalive for college students, don't smoke cigarettes. Don't
Don't,
smoke cigarettes. Yeah.
dude, I don't leave my DNA nowhere. You're not getting my straw, my cigarette butt. I'll take my garbage. I will take my garbage home with me and throw it away, and I'm gonna look real suspicious. But now I think about things like now, especially you never know.
Yeah.
Never know.
All right.
But yeah,
I got to be taken off here.
I think I'm gonna take off for now as well. Let me put that down. Let me blow this up where I can see. Just looking at chat real quick. What are you gonna do the rest of the night? Sit outside and enjoy the moon? Oh, he already gone, y'all. He left me that fast. He's like, boom, I'm out. Bye. You guys, thanks for coming in. We're going to be putting together some more stuff because I want to bring a longer stream to discuss some more in-depth stuff with this case and just take a look at some of the stuff that is coming out of these documents and see if we can glean anything out of them, you know. And 'cause I don't know if the guy's innocent or guilty. We'll have to wait to trial, but you know, probable cause is probable cause, so we'll see if anything holds up with Ann Taylor. Look,
Yeah. Sorry about that. I did
you just
not mean to be that abrupt. I didn't mean to be like, I'm done. Bye bye.
you're like, bye, I'm out of here. I'm done.
StreamYard on the phone is definitely a problem. StreamYard, if you got your ears on, just letting you know, StreamYard on the phone is a problem.
I never have a problem with it on my phone. It's on the PC where I get the issues. That's crazy. All right. Yeah, we're gonna go for the night. Thank you guys for coming in. The ones that have come in. We're like I said, I'm gonna be putting together a longer stream, probably this weekend because I don't think I'm going anywhere this weekend, and there is some more things I want to review, and I want to see about getting somebody else up here that can also talk to us about a couple of these things. But I want to go through some more of the documents a little more thoroughly and see what else I can glean from the documents. You know what I mean? What we can get out of that. All right. Thanks, Lindsay. You guys have a good night. Joe, thanks for coming up as usual.
Thanks, Salty.
All
Appreciate
right.
you.
Have a good night, guys.